The Walking Dead began its run on Halloween of 2010 to instant success, garnering the attention of critics and general audiences alike, though throughout the course of its many seasons and spin-offs, mistakes were definitely made. And through those mistakes, America's favorite TV show quickly became one of the most despised and looked down on shows in television history. In this video, I'm going to describe the initial success of The Walking Dead, explain how and why it became the juggernaut it became. Then I'll explain how and why the show lost its audience, as well as how it could have been avoided. With that, strap in, turn your volume way the fuck down so my mic isn't ear fucking you, and let's get into this shit. The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 1 aired to 5.3 million viewers, making it the most watched AMC pilot to this day, beating out the likes of both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. TWD's pilot was slow, gritty, engaging, and offered up an extremely well-made introduction to this world and our main character. Throughout Season 1's run, we are introduced to our main cast bit by bit, with each character getting plenty of time to shine, making the entire cast memorable. So much to the point that characters like Jim and Jackie, who only appeared in that first season, are still remembered and talked about in the community. And even when Morales returned in Season 8, almost every fan recognized him instantly as the man that Rick gave a box of ammo to all the way back in Season 1. The first season provided a memorable and enjoyable experience all the way through, and the fact that people remember those characters is a testament to that fact. Many people even still hail this first season as the show's best, though I think those people are wrong, and if you want my season ranking, I'll get into that at around the end of the video. Anyways, that's Season 1's success out the window, though at this point, The Walking Dead, albeit popular, wasn't a cultural phenomenon just yet. For that, we have to get through the somehow simultaneously loved and hated Season 2.
First blood! Double kill! Headshot!
Season 2 in many ways could have spelled the end for The Walking Dead much earlier than it should have, with many feeling as if the plot drags after around Episode 2. There's a lot of filler moments and seemingly unnecessary plot lines, as well as the departure of TWD's OG director, Frank Darabont. Frank was no longer the showrunner by the time Season 3 rolled around, spelling out the end of his original vision. The combination of this slow pacing, as well as cast and crew tensions, could have very well led to the show faltering early on, though thanks to some memorable and well-written episodes, the audience stayed strong, gaining more viewers than it lost. I believe this season's success is thanks to three key moments and plot lines. That being Carl's shooting and subsequent recovery, Sophia's disappearance in Episode 1 followed by the barn reveal in Episode 8, and Rick vs. Shane getting worse and worse, ending with Shane meeting his end at the hands of both Rick and Carl. I think these three plot lines kept viewers hooked and hungry for more. They certainly did that for me. Though, by Season 2's end, while we're extremely close, we've yet to full-on break into the pop culture zeitgeist. Though, with the likes of Seasons 3 and 4, that all changes.
Liar.
The third season's premiere took a massive risk by having an entirely silent cold open, showing our group silently searching and clearing a home for shelter, only for them to pack up and leave after they find it unsafe. This opening is the best cold open you can expect to find in The Walking Dead, as it perfectly conveys the way this group thinks. It conveys who our leader is, it shows us the pure trust this group has for one another, all without a single fucking word of dialogue. This opening took away the doubts of anyone who thought the show would suck after Darabont, when in fact, the opposite was true. For the next few seasons, Seasons 3 through 6, the show only got better and better, with Seasons 3 and 4 introducing many people's favorite arc in the show, that being the governor/prison arc. These two seasons cemented The Walking Dead in the minds of tens of millions around the world, with almost every episode in both seasons having us at the edge of our seats wanting more. Season 3 in particular just did not let up on those first 8 episodes, going from Herschel getting bit then recovering, to meeting and killing most of the prisoners, to Laurie dying and giving birth to Judith, giving Carl a much more interesting story going forward, and more importantly in the same episode T-Dog fucking dies, then Merle is brought back, and on and on and on and on. Season 3 kept audiences hooked more than audiences could have ever been hooked on any piece of zombie-related media. By the end of Season 3's run, with a healthy combo of perfect pacing, very well-written characters, engaging plotlines, and the great practical effects/set design, The Walking Dead had become a nationwide phenomenon, with many of its actors now being big recognizable names even outside of TWD, like Stephen Yeun or Norman Reedus or John Bernthal. The Walking Dead was at the top of the world, and it seemed as if it could never fail. Though, as we all know, this success and acclaim couldn't last forever. Just as the show took 2 seasons to rise, it would take another 2 seasons to fall, with seasons 7 and 8 spelling out the end of TWD's reign over television. That's right, it's time to talk about the trifecta of declining audience retention: Glenn, Carl, and the Saviors.
Dun 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 dun. Little pig, let me in.
The Season 7 premiere was the beginning of the end for most Walking Dead fans, though for me, and many others, it was a necessary evil. However, several fans who see it as a necessary evil suck at explaining why it was necessary. But before I can get into the why of it all, I gotta get into some context. You see, it all starts with the Season 6 finale, which left many fans very, very angry, as it ended on one of the biggest cliffhangers in TV history, that being a POV shot of an unknown main character getting their brains bashed in by our new main villain, Negan. Audiences had to wait nearly a year for an answer as to who Negan killed. Then, when October finally rolled around, The Walking Dead hit its peak viewership, with more live viewers than it's ever had, having over 17 million people watching. And at first, fans were satisfied with the initial payoff of the Negan kill, with the reveal that Abraham was the one in that infamous POV shot. However, moments later, that death was overshadowed by the very comic book accurate death of Glenn, a fan favorite character, as well as many people's favorite character in general, myself included. Glenn's death was met by hate from the audience, eventually leading to AMC toning down the gore a little bit for about 2 seasons due to complaints by viewers. Now, in my opinion, Glenn's death was met with this response due to 3 big factors. The first one being the initial cliffhanger at the end of Season 6 that already had several fans pissed off and waiting for an exciting premiere, only to be hit with a massive wave of depression and tears by the death of not 1 but 2 fan-favorite characters, in a very gruesome way, with many fans feeling as if it was unnecessary. Our second factor for this response is the fact that thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands, were only tuning into The Walking Dead for the first time ever just to be a part of the massive hype train surrounding the show at the time, leading to those viewers more than likely being the majority that complained about the gore present in the episode, as Glenn's death is on par with the gore in previous seasons, and while I'm sure a few of the complaints were from longtime viewers who either forgot about the previous gore, as the gore was only present in zombies or minor characters, or fans that only really cared that Glenn was the one subjected to this gore and brutal death. Hell, many people don't even mention Abraham's death when talking about this episode, and his death was almost as gore-heavy as Glenn's. Those who complained about the gore simply weren't aware of previous gore, or were just upset that Glenn was the one who got this beatdown. And finally, the third reason people reacted negatively to this season's opening was the overwhelming amount of fans who felt as if Glenn's death was unnecessary to the plot, and served only as murder porn or shock factor, and many people who defend this death online only say shit like, well, he died in the comics in the same way, as a defense, and that crap pisses me off, dude. That is the dumbest way to defend this death, and only leads to more argument. Just because he died in the comics isn't a good reason for him to die in the show. You know shit changes from the comics all the time in The Walking Dead. You gotta go deeper than that, man. Like, his arc in the show reflects his arc in the comics. Glenn had reached the end of his character arc. While he didn't deserve to die, he needed to. For one, His death presented Negan as a real threat to our group, and let's be honest, Abe alone wouldn't have done it, especially for comic fans who knew Abe's real death was just 2 episodes prior, and we already got more of Abe than we deserved, as well as Abe's arc being more clear-cut and easy to see reach its end. Robert Kirkman himself, the original comic book author for The Walking Dead, said Glenn's death was too important for future storylines and arcs to be replaced by someone else. Without Glenn's death, Rick would have been more submissive under Negan, less eager to fight, though Rosita and Sasha would probably still push for a fight. Glenn dying pushes the story forward, as well as got rid of our group's moral compass. Without the death of Glenn, the Savior storyline might as well not happen, as it wouldn't be nearly as impactful. Either Glenn needed to die, or Kirkman should have ended the series at Alexandria as he originally intended. But as we all know, he didn't end it there. Thus, Glenn's fate was sealed. There's also the added factor that Glenn in the comics didn't get nearly as much play as Glenn in the show, meaning comic readers were less attached to the character and less heartbroken by his passing, whereas TV show fans hailed this dude as their favorite character, with him getting more and more screen time and focus than Rick himself in certain episodes. So yeah, all of that, the past however many fucking minutes I've been talking, is why this premiere was met with so much backlash, leading to an unprecedented drop in viewership for the following episodes. Season 7 has its issues and drags a bit at points. Overall, it's a good season of TV, with the Season 7 premiere being among one of my favorite episodes of television in general, not just The Walking Dead, all of TV. Yet, due to these aforementioned factors, it's also so many people's least favorite episode in history. However, despite all that, The Walking Dead didn't quite lose the plot yet. The writing was still solid. No major unfixable mistakes had been made yet. That all changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all 4 elements, could stop them. But he vanished, just like my train of thought. Anyway, everything really changed when Season 8 rolled around, more specifically when yet another controversial death rolled around. That's right, bitches, I'm talking about motherfucking Carl Papa. The death of Carl is where the show truly lost the plot. Now, I'm just going to briefly summarize this point, as if I were to go deeper, I'd need to add another 15 minutes onto this video, and it's already getting long as it is, so if you want my full opinion on Carl's death, as well as more context on the points I'm about to bring up, go watch this video linked here. If you're enjoying what you've been watching, then you'll probably enjoy this too. Anyways, back to it. Carl, unlike Glenn, has a piss-poor excuse for his death, both within the show's universe and out. Ain't no excuse cuts it. So, Carl died for some schmuck's mission to honor his mom, a mission we no longer see him honor as the show progresses, as well as said schmuck dying with very little screen time. Scott Gimple claims that Carl's death served as motivation for Rick to not kill Negan at the end of the war, though that makes no goddamn sense, as in the comics, Rick's motivation was the fact that he wanted Negan to suffer, and he wanted a symbol for the future, a symbol that proves society can return. And he wanted Negan to see that future, to show Negan how wrong he was. That was his goddamn motivation. In the show, that motivation should have stayed the same, with the likes of Carl and Morgan only pushing Rick to actually go through with it. On top of that, Carl survives the apocalypse in the comics, with his biggest storyline not even happening until after his TV death. Carl had so much story left to tell, and with the benefit of hindsight, his story would have been even larger than it was presented in the comics, as Andrew Lincoln, the actor for Rick, left the show during Season 9, which would have left the door wide open for Carl to take up the mantle of main character for the final seasons. And let's be honest, Carl as the main character is much more interesting than fucking Stone Cold Daryl. Come on now. Come on now, don't fucking lie to yourselves. Come on, going off script here. Don't fucking lie to yourselves. Daryl's not main character material. I like the Daryl Dixon show. I'm more interested in Carol now, as in the book of Carol for season 2. I'm more interested in her as the main character, bro. Daryl is not leading man material. Norman Reedus is a great actor. We love Norman Reedus. He's not the leading man. He's not. He's just not a leading man. Okay. Back to the script. Okay, so where was I? Okay, leaving the door wide open for Carl to take the mantle of main character for the final seasons, as well as the much more rewarding reunion we would have gotten in the finale of The Ones Who Live. There's also the fact that the actor himself, Chandler Riggs, wanted to keep playing Carl, and was misled into believing he would continue playing the character. And if you're one of the people who think Chandler Riggs wanted to leave the show, then you should really either use Google for a total of 30 seconds or go watch my video on Carl's death, because I'm tired of people saying that shit as if it's fact. Anyway, before I go on a rant about the nitty-gritty of Carl's death, I'll stop there. All you need to know is Carl's arc was nowhere near complete, and rushed to the finish line without any real regard for how it affects the story going forward, as well as audience reactions, simultaneously disrespecting Carl's actor and character alike. So, now you know why it all went to shit, meaning it's time to talk about how this downfall could have been avoided, or at the very least, heavily mitigated. Let's get it.
Let's fucking go. Let's go. I guess.
Starting with the Season 7 premiere, I have only a few notes to lighten the load, though due to the nature of this episode, it was always doomed to receive backlash and lose viewers, though with a couple of tweaks, the fan outcry could have been lessened. Starting out by having Abraham's death revealed in the Season 6 finale and having Glenn's death revealed in the Season 7 premiere. This would lessen the amount of anger that fans had when it came to the POV cliffhanger shot, as well as make Glenn's death even more of a surprise to comic fans. This would also make it so Abraham's death isn't overshadowed by Glenn's so much, as fans would have had the better part of a year to discuss his death and stew on it. Plus, the deaths wouldn't be taking place in the same episode, much less just a couple minutes apart, separating them that much more. The next tweak I would make to the premiere is absolutely nothing, as it's perfect. And in the wise words of Negan, you're all a bunch of fucking pussies.
You bunch of pussies. I'm just getting started.
Now, as for the rest of Season 7, it should be condensed, as well as Season 8. Those two seasons need to be put in a blender, get blended up and cut up, then reshaped into one uniform Season 7, wrapping up the Savior arc in just one season. Still making it longer than it was in the comics, because as I'm sure many of you know, the comic version of this story took place very quickly, and if adapted faithfully, it would have been wrapped up in about 8 episodes or so. Additions like Jadis and the Trash People should be cut entirely, with the only good additions being the character of Simon and Sasha's storyline. They're allowed to stay, but other than them, cut all of the added filler and bullshit and just stick to the main plotline instead of milking it for 2 seasons. Next up, Carl's death. There's a very easy answer here. Very simple. Don't. Just don't. Don't kill Carl. You see this guy? This guy who suggested killing Carl? Fire him. Not from his job, but out of a goddamn cannon. That's how you avoid the mistake of killing Carl. You just simply don't fucking do it, you troglodyte. Do you understand the material you're writing for? Do you? Because if you do, you don't fucking kill Carl. That's what you fucking do. You don't kill Carl, Scott Gimple. Do you hear me, Scott Gimple? You don't kill Carl.
And after that, I had a meeting with Scott Gimple, the guy who was the showrunner at the time and is now the showrunner of like all the shows. And that's when he told me that Carl wasn't going to be on the show anymore. And I was like, that's unfortunate, because I just bought a house next to the set. Yeah, so it was pretty unfortunate. But it ended up being fine. Like, other cast members rented out the house, so it was fine. But, yeah, I was pretty... there were a couple weeks there where it was rough. Because the thing was with that, I had got accepted into UGA, University of Georgia, and I was like, nice, I got my major, I got my dorm, I got my classes. This is going to be awesome. The next 4 years of my life, I just updated my contract for the next few years. And then, yeah, that was it.
Well, that's about all I can think of for this video. I'm sure there's stuff I'm forgetting, so if you have anything to add, or oh shit, I almost forgot the season ranking. I'll do it here. But the video's already getting too long, so I'll do this quick. Let's go worst to best. Let's get it. Worst, Season 8. You killed Carl, you bastards. Then Season 10. There's too much filler. Then Season 7. See previous answer. Then Season 11. Not a true ending. Season 9. Solid season, but once Rick leaves, everything changes. Then Season 6. That's the beginning of the end. Then Season 2. A little slow, but my god, that finale and barn episode are peak. Then Season 1. It's where it all began, and where the writers were still getting a grasp on things. Then Season 4. I don't care for the flu storyline that much. Eat me. Then Season 5. Near perfection, but not enough Carl. And then finally, Season 3, the best season of television bar none. Suck my dick. Alright, there you go, you filthy nerds. Back to the outro. If you have anything else to add or any disagreements, just leave it in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, maybe you'll enjoy some of my other crappy content, my Carl Grimes video in particular, though if you really enjoyed, then maybe you can consider liking and subscribing, I don't know, some of that shit. Anyways, that's all from me today. Merry Christmas, happy birthday, and goodbye.